Hello, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving weekend. Coming out of a holiday all about thankfulness and gratitude, how many of you are still kind of thinking about something that's on your mind that hasn't been fulfilled yet, or something that you're really struggling with because you thought for sure it would be resolved by the end of this year, or perhaps going into next year, and it looks like it's just going to be a longer journey than what you planned or wanted, or maybe you don't even see a light at the end of the tunnel yet that you can detect. I have something like that in my life for sure, and I just wanted to say a couple words about that because I can feel the conflict between, like right before the holiday, I could feel the conflict between my weakness, the weakness of my flesh that was wanting to allow the anxiety to get in between me and my life and just drain me of any ability to be any good or any use to those around me and even to myself, and to just ruin everything good that is in my path. And that was in conflict with my desire to recognize that, wait a minute, I know the promises that God has spoken over this thing, and I can see that God has not said no to my desire. It's just delayed in a way that I don't like, but the delay is actually lining up with what he said, because even though he didn't specify a timeline, this delay could be seen as, yes, it's a disappointment, but instead of a setback, it could be seen as specificity of timing. Like, this is purposeful. This is an opportunity for you to prepare more and grow. And this is, you asked for the right timing, and this is it, perhaps. So I could feel the conflict of those two things. And I started thinking about the way that God typically works with me over my whole life. He's given me desires seemingly way in advance, like before they're ready to be fulfilled. And you could look at that and say, well, why would he do that if it's not going to be fulfilled yet? But then think about David. What's interesting to me is that God anointed him when he was still a boy, and he could have given him the kingdom right then, but he didn't. He chose to grow him into the role, allowing him to learn from Jonathan and establish that friendship with him and just learn so much and grow an army around him and learn so much from God, and grow into what it meant to be a true king and avoid a lot of the pitfalls that Saul fell into. But the other side of the coin also fascinates me, that God anointed David when he was still a boy and many years from the throne. Why didn't God anoint him, like just raise him up as a soldier and anoint him right after Saul died? Why did he have to carry that anointing for all that time when it wasn't going to happen yet? Well, I believe that God is doing that to prepare us. We could look at it like, this is way too untimely and too soon. How am I going to possibly wait this out? But there's preparation, there's opportunity in the waiting. So depending on what you're waiting on, God is going to have different action for you to take. But the seasons of delay is for preparation and protection, not for setback. Even things that are setbacks that God did not send into your life, things that are bad and negative and part of the sinful world that we live in, God can even work through those. Think about Joseph in prison all those years, where it seemed like he was going nowhere, but God was fashioning him into a wineskin that was ready for the new wine that was coming, that was bigger than anything that he could have imagined. So be encouraged this holiday season. If things are really not lining up the way you thought, go back to the promises of God. And if you don't specifically see answers, just worship him. Tell him honestly, God, I do not want to live this way. I don't want to live with anxiety getting in the way of my life. I don't want to give my life to this thing. I want these desires. You've put them in my heart, but I do not want to give my life away to anxiety and discouragement and let confusion rule my life. That isn't the inheritance that you purchased for me. Fight for what is yours. Wait for the Lord in the midst of the stuff that you're waiting on. He is the real journey. He is the one that journeys with you. Those things are part of the life of faith, not a destination. So be encouraged in that this holiday season.